Why don't you stay? Remember when we used to love each other better than all the world could ever understand? Remember when we were holding hands? Remember when we used to talk and laugh and giggle about the silly things that made life worth being in love? So why don't you stay? Remember when we had this old big old dream and this fantasy about life and things we wanted for ourselves? So why don't you just stay? Remember when we used to talk about the love we used to share and all the things that we never really understood? Why don't you stay? So why don't you stay with me a while longer so we can talk about the things that we decided that will make us leave? Why don't we stay just a little while longer so we can understand just why we scream and shout so loud and make each other? Why don't you stay? Why don't you stay? Why don't you stay a while with me so I can feel better than being alone? Why don't you stay? And all we understand is in the foolishness of the lies we once told in our lives just to stay together are breaking us. Why don't you stay? Why don't you stay? Why don't you stay a little while longer so I can repeat myself and hold on to the Why don't you stay? Why don't you stay long enough for me to convince you that there's more than one reason? Why don't you stay? Why don't you stay? Yeah. Why don't you stay? I'm breaking your bottom from the bottom of my heart, and I'm bending knees and I'm crawling up the wall, waiting on your answer. So why don't you stay? I'm falling the time, pulling the rope, I'm holding on tight, and I'm grasping for the last breath of my life, screaming, why don't you stay? Why don't you stay? Why don't you stay?